Donna Adelson charged with first-degree murder in the death of her former son-in-law just about a week or two after her son Charlie convicted on the same charge. Here to discuss, join me on this, Bob Motta, host of the podcast Defense Diaries and defense attorney. This is a very dark, twisted family. The more that we learn about it and the accusations against Donna Adelson, do you think she's the last card to fall of the Adelsons?
What's up, T?
Hey, hey.
Yeah, quite a family there, the Adelsons, huh?
Yeah.
Led by like I don't know, is Mama murdering Mama Adelson the mastermind? I don't know.
I
Is
wonder.
it
I mean, it
Wendy?
explains the children a lot, if she is the ringleader and how they think and how they act. If you look at the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
100%, man. And it's like you're looking at this thing and you know the state wants Wendy so
Oh
bad.
yeah.
But it's like I like and you and I were just talking. I mean, we definitely called that that Donna was going down with the quickness, and
Hmm.
she did. Like they didn't waste any time, and obviously Donna, being the genius that she was, discussing either killing herself or running to Vietnam on a recorded jail line, expedited it. As soon as they found out that she was talking about it, and then were able to determine that she bought a one-way ticket with a nice little stop in Dubai,
Hmm.
which obviously, if you know anything about Dubai, be a pretty good place to hole up considering they require all women to wear face coverings. It'd be pretty tough to get identified in Dubai. Like, I have a feeling she wasn't even going to go to Vietnam. I think she was going to flake off in Dubai. But like the reality is, neither one of those countries have extradition pacts with the United States. So either way, she's trying to go somewhere where it was going to be extremely difficult to get her back. But again, she wasn't real smart about it. And, I mean, anybody who knows anything about the jail system and the prison system has to know that every phone call is recorded. And in a case like this, for a fact that are listening to every call, you know. And it's like it's
Well, I mean,
so yeah,
yeah,
her going down was not surprising. The biggest fish, I think, in the eyes of law enforcement is certainly Wendy, and sadly, I think that she's the toughest case. I mean, there's a
yeah,
reason I'm trying to knock over these dominoes in this order. Because this trial is going to be vastly different. Like, they don't have the same evidence. They have some overlapping evidence in terms of Charlie and Donna, but in terms of this is not going to be an identical case,
hmm,
because there's different elements with respect to Donna. Like I thought, jumping back to Charlie's trial, in some of the testimony, because when you had Katie testifying about the water being damp or the money being damp, and that every time um, that Donna would bring money, that either Charlie and or Donna would wash the money in order, I'm assuming, to get their DNA and or fingerprints off the money, so that when she got it, it was damp, and then she calls her ex and says, "Look, the money's damp." He's like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Well," he's like, "Well, clearly they were washing the money, like literally washing the money."
hmm,
And and then the insinuation by Katie at the trial, at Charlie's trial, was that Donna was supplying the cash.
hmm.
And this is cash that was going towards what we now know was not an extortion, but it was in fact to pay a couple of hitmen to kill Dan.
Sure.
So, but then as you progress and on cross examination of Charlie, like Georgia just let that go. Like, where I thought that was like, I had tweeted when Katie had testified about the money being wet, and that she had testified that the money was coming from Donna to Charlie. That was a huge piece of evidence. It was a huge connective tissue, which I thought, when Charlie is actually testifying his own behalf, and she asks one thing about the damn money, and she just allows him, like, to completely get off the hook.
Hmm.
Like, no, the money wasn't damp.
Yeah.
And she doesn't try to delve into it at all. I mean, maybe she's got something lined up in terms of trying to attach that money to Donna, and she's got a different way about it, and that's why she just kind of glossed over it during Charlie's testimony. But it's going to be interesting. It will be a different trial just because it's different type of evidence, and they're saying different things, and they've got to put her in kind of the godmother role,
Mhm.
as opposed to the godfather, but like the head of the family, and the one pulling the strings on this whole thing, but always keeping in mind that they ultimately want to get to Wendy
And
because
that's the
like
thing, and I wonder in this case about Wendy. I watched them just to refresh myself today. I watched her testimony again. I watched the testimony of her former boyfriend, and I mean, it certainly makes you wonder. I mean, at the end of watching that all again, I believe she knew something, but I don't necessarily know that it's anything like another case that we're talking about, Jared Bridegan and her Shanna Gardner Fernandez, where that seemed a very straightforward, we want this hit done type charge. This to me, I mean, when you look at this mother and when you understand like narcissistic mothers and the power that they sometimes wield and the nth degree that they will go to get what they want, it really makes me wonder if mom was really the one at the end of the day who wanted her grandkids close, wanted her own kids close, and she wasn't going to take no for an answer because she's getting old and heck, what does she have to lose at this point? She gonna make this attempt and remove someone that's becoming the block. Uh, I don't know. I mean, where Wendy plays into this, other than she found out that this was in play. I don't know that she would be the one that would want to even order that sort of a hit or something of that nature. How comparable do you think Wendy is in all this?
I don't know. I mean, you made a pretty compelling case for Donna being the ringleader there, buddy. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
you
mean,
almost
it
I
makes
mean,
sense.
like kind of going into it, I was always of the mindset that it's a stretch to think that it wasn't Wendy.
Hmm.
That this grandmother could be such a helicopter grandmother in the sense that, like you said, that she wants her kids and her grandkids, at arm's length at all times, and she'll go to any lengths to make that happen, including killing her former son-in-law or having it arranged for him to be killed
Yeah.
in order to make that happen. And but I don't know, like that's a part of it where they're bringing in the concept of, yes, Wendy tried to, obviously go into a court and handle it through the proper channels with a removal petition to get the move down there, which her lawyer came on and testified, look, the odds of that are slim and none.
Yeah.
It's just very difficult to be able to remove the kids from their father
Yeah.
geographically, and so they kind of build in that thing for Wendy that like she went into that knowingly, like and Wendy's a lawyer, and even if she's not a practicing as a family attorney or family law attorney, I mean, anybody that's a lawyer that has any concept of family law knows it is a very difficult task to get a judge to allow you to remove your kids from the jurisdiction where the other parent lives.
Sure.
If the other parent is an active
Yeah.
parent and for all intents and purposes is a good parent, it's just tough.
Hmm.
So like I think realistically, right. I think that she went into that knowing that it was most likely going to fail. And then you do get this testimony about this $1 million offer
Hmm.
to pay Dan to allow the kids to move down there, and that had to have been coming from Donna.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So that kind of goes right to your theory that maybe in fact Donna is the driving force behind this because but you've got two camps out there. You've got the people that are like, there's no way. They definitely did this because Dan was driving Wendy batshit crazy, with all the just the constant litigation, but then you find out that Dan's filing stuff to stop Donna from seeing the kids based on the
Hmm.
fact that she's talking trash about Dan.
Yeah.
So it all kind of leads back to Donna maybe being a more compelling mastermind than Wendy, but I just don't know enough about how toxic
Yeah.
that relationship between Wendy and Dan really was.
I think
'Cause, I mean, it's
especially,
like
yeah,
to get to the point, like litigation's litigation, and when
yeah,
you're talking about 2 lawyers, it's what they do for a living.
sure,
So, I'm sure that there's like neither one of them enjoys each other's company. I'm sure that they do everything in a vindictive sense, and that goes for Dan too.
sure,
Like, I don't think that Dan was an angel in terms of what was going on with respect to the divorce proceedings and the custody battles. I think that that was a two-way street between him and Wendi. I think that they both were litigating the hell out of it,
sure,
and so does that in any way, shape, or form mean that Dan should have lost his life? God, no, of course not.
yeah,
But like, I don't know the depths of the hatred.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I've had clients where I'm like, oh man, like this is like one step away from being like a Dateline episode type thing, like
yes,
thoughts in my head.
yeah,
I just don't know if this particular relationship between Wendi and Dan had reached that plateau.
yeah,
And if that's not the case, if it hadn't, then I agree with you. I think that
yeah.
Donna was, for all the reasons that you stated, was probably the one that orchestrated this whole thing. And then the question becomes, did Wendi know?
Did Wendy know? And I mean, and
And
there's interesting testimony, especially from her boy or former boyfriend, of her literally throwing up at a restaurant after getting some news that he wasn't quite sure what the news was. I don't know. I mean, this mother Donna seems to have extreme narcissistic control over her whole family, and I would not at all be surprised if as a child that's your mom. You've been controlled your whole life. You've been beat down your whole life. If mom's going to do something, she's going to do something. Your opinion be damned. I mean, that's how narcissists work. And I
for
think
sure.
some of the scariest ones are, in fact, older mothers. I mean, there are no lengths sometimes as to what they will go to, however misguided and delusional those ideas may be. But I think there's a lot of people out there that are very apt to act in this sort of way if pushed in that sort of direction. I think that's what we ended up seeing here. It makes me wonder more about, how much Charlie was truly involved in this, or how much was he kind of roped into it by mom, and then trying to cover for mom, trying to do what's right within the dynamics of the family, but not get caught at the same time. I don't know. I think this woman is a terror to everyone that she's probably come in contact with through most of her life.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like, I think that at the end of the day, that you're probably right. I think that she's probably the driving force behind all of it. And I think that Charlie was probably in that position where he just isn't capable of saying no to his mother, and that she's giving him directives and she's saying, this is how we're going to handle this. And, Charlie, thinking he's a real bright, crafty guy, kind of gets into the role,
Yeah.
you know, oh, I want to, like, they're never going to catch us. I want to out with these guys, even though it's all at the behest of his mother. He then takes on the role of, okay, like, I'm gonna figure out the mechanics of it, because it's like you had to know that Charlie had to be an active participant in order to get Katie involved, who's then getting her ex and his buddy
Yeah.
involved as the hitman, because like Donna doesn't have those connections.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it probably starts off as a conversation where Donna, like an in-person conversation, not a moronic over the phone or text conversation where this is discussed, and she's like, we need this to happen. I need for my people to be near me,
Yeah.
and I need you to help me make it happen, Charlie. And Charlie takes it on. And so I think in that sense, I mean, he's equally culpable, because at any point, a reasonable person would have said, no, mom, I'm
Mhm.
not going to help you kill your former son-in-law so that the grandkid, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So like, he's just as culpable as she is. But, like you said, having that overbearing mother
Yeah. There's no
who
boundaries.
yeah, lorded over you for the entirety of your life,
Mhm.
I mean, there's something to be said for that as well.
Yeah.
And just being incapable of saying no to that person, so yeah, it's a twisted case, man, for certain. But yeah, I could see a world in which Wendy never gets charged. And frankly, if they put her on the stand again, then I'm going to feel pretty confident they're not going after her.
Sure. Sure.
I mean, so
I think anything's possible here still, but
yep,
read a book or two about narcissistic mothers, and it describes that woman to a T. It's scary.
to a T.
Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you want more of our interview with our guests, be sure to check out our podcast, Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Just search that wherever you download podcasts and press subscribe. Also, you can check out our YouTube channel for the full video version of the interviews as well, under the same name, Hidden Killers with Tony Brueski. Check it out, subscribe, binge, and enjoy. Thanks for watching.